So, want to get started? I've just had a meeting with these governors, members of Congress, local officials, as well as Admiral Thad Allen, the National Incident Commander in charge of response efforts to the BP oil spill. Admiral Allen gave us an update, the latest information on both the efforts to plug the well as well as damage that's been done. He updated us on these latest efforts to stop the leak, mitigate the damage to the Great Beaches and Gulf Coast. And I had the chance to visit with Charlotte, a beach like Port Fourchon. That gives you a sense of what extraordinary efforts are being made at the local level, but also the damage that we're already starting to see as a consequence of this spill. Now, our mission remains the same as it has since this disaster began, since the day I visited Louisiana nearly 4 weeks ago. We want to stop the leak, we want to contain and clean up the oil on the situation in the Gulf. As we all know, a new cap was fitted over the BP oil well earlier this week. This larger, more sophisticated cap was designed to give us greater control over the oil flow as we complete the relief wells that are necessary to stop the leak. Our scientists and outside experts have met through the night and continue this morning to analyze the data from the well integrity test. What they're working to determine is whether we can safely shut in the well using the new cap without creating new problems, including possibly countless new oil leaks in the sea floor. Now, even if a shut-in is not possible, this new cap and the additional equipment being placed in the Gulf will be able to contain up to 80,000 barrels a day, which should allow us to capture nearly all the oil until the well is killed. It's important to remember that prior to the installation of this new cap, we were collecting on average about 25,000.
The ATVs and shit.
This is the cleanup. They left their garbage all up and down the beach.
Say we park it right over here and jump out and hit that beach, guys.
Get these sand. Alrighty. Over there. Let's make sure we got what we're looking for. Yeah. Bob, let's get some more. I got another one. Alright, alright. Look at this. You see the oil on the beach? You see that? That's all oil.
Slimy, right?
See the oil coming in the water? Is it? Well, it's got oil in it, that's for sure. Well, I'm no professional or anything, but what I'm seeing is oil Every time I step huddling up and going out to the ocean, if I saw this on my home beach, I'd be in absolute tears. What we've done is taken a couple samples here to collect, send it to a laboratory and find out what is actually in this. This is all oil.
You should take a sample from some of this.
Hold on, hold on. Ugh, God, that's disgusting.
Hold on, I'm not going. Can you do it this middle section?
All right, you guys, we should go.
Yeah, every boat that we've seen in this marina that we're in right now is completely covered in oil. You know, and there's little sea otters swimming around them. It's all bad. It's just heartbreaking.
Okay, what we've got here, these are some of the samples we took yesterday from Grand Isle Beach. Those are the gloves. You want to take them out of the gloves? Yeah. We're going to tell FedEx there's no hazardous materials in these packages.
Good morning, world. We're on the corner of Toulouse and Bourbon Street in New Orleans here. We just got back from Grand Isle, went and got these samples. It was pretty amazing. We ran into a couple of workers that were working on the boats, some safety officers, which will remain nameless, and they invited us to go have a beer at the local bar out there in Grand Isle. And after a couple of beers, they introduced us to one of their co-workers who had collected oil 20 miles out on his boat and had given us a sample straight out. Now all we can do is send these out and get some answers. You know, we got this one from the shore break in Grand Isle. We got this one from the rock jetty in Grand Isle, right there at the very end. They call it the end of the world, actually, which is ironic, but that's where we were. And then this is the one that we got from 20 miles out. You can see the oil blob right there.
There is a lot of something that is not oil in the oil booger, if you will, inside the water sample, and that's why it wasn't acting really like oil. Now, I think a big clue was were the results for the propane dial. Now, when we call, I have a guesstimate. Well, I have an estimate here of how much is in there. Now, the number I came up with was 430 parts per million. Okay, it's actually a very large number for propane dial in water. Okay, that's how much we're getting from the water.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Well, let me put it this way: the propane dial is actually part of Corexit. Okay, so if I'm measuring 430 parts per million of propane dial in the water itself, this is just one part of Corexit. The Corexit itself has to be a much bigger number. And it turns out that the toxic level for Corexit for fish is 25 parts per million. So we're measuring at least 400, and 25 is toxic in water. If you're in the presence of oil, if the fish encounters oil with mixed in with Corexit, it drops down to 2.6 parts per million as being toxic. So the sample you handed me was probably about 150 times the toxic level for fish. How's that for a starter?
You're kidding me.
No, I am not kidding you.